everybody. Welcome to a brand new Al Mega podcast. I'm your host, Al Mega. Today, we have an amazing, wonderful guest. I mean, a total musical talent, man out there killing in the industry. He got a dope new single out right now called Miserlou. We're going to be getting into, but we're going to get into stuff beyond that. All right. Let's get into this creative man right here, the one, the only Mr. Asher Laub. How you doing?
Ooh. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for hanging out with me and chit chat a bit about your career and whatnot. I mean, a big shout out to Al, the other Al from Podmatch. That's how we hooked up. So a great platform, folks. If you don't know about Podmatch, and whether you're somebody that's looking to get interviewed or someone looking for interviewees, Podmatch is absolutely wonderful, right? So that's just all love right there. That's not sponsored, folks. I'm telling you, that's where it is, yo. So again, all right. So Asher, what up? What up, man?
I don't know, just hanging out here. It's producing right behind me, doing gigs. It's a busy week, which is a good thing. So
yeah, I saw the wonderful screens in the green room. I was like, oh my god, this guy, look at he's busy. So I'm not gonna take too much of your time. So I want to start diving into it. All right. So please give us a brief introduction to yourself.
How do I do that? Nothing's brief. I got a long story, but cut it down to a couple of seconds.
I go like this. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from upstate. Buffalo, New York, like almost near Canada, upstate. I'm an electric violinist, composer, producer, live performer, goofball, you name it. Like I run an entertainment group, Fiddler's Dream Productions. I spend a lot of my time. By a lot, I'm a workaholic. Actually, I'm working full time, and then some. In terms of live performances, collaborations, production work, working on a bunch of long list of sync related music for movies and film, that type of stuff. So,
all right. So
music is my game.
Music's your game. So talk about that then a bit. What are those early inspirations in life, or rather, what inspired you? Did you always know that was the direction you wanted to head?
No, actually not at all. It's sort of just fate sort of led me into music as a career. Okay. But I did start at the age of 2 and change on a margarine box. So I was given the skills.
On a margarine box?
Margarine box, just to learn how to hold the instrument, pluck the rubber bands, which served as strings. And I learned the Suzuki method when I was in diapers. So pretty much that was a skill that was pretty natural for me to turn into a career. Although that wasn't really the intention. The intention was for me to practice what I got my degrees in at university. So kind of threw that out the window to an extent and moved into music because it was already paying the bills for me.
All right. There we go. All right. So was there any inspiration that really pushed you into the music, particularly with that electric violin?
Was there a specific experience? I mean, the experience was self-motivation. I wasn't really getting. I needed to pay my bills. I didn't want to. Basically, I didn't want to. I got
do or die.
What's that?
You was do or die. Get it done.
Not exactly that. There is some privilege on my end. I grew up middle class.
Okay.
But
you still got to work. I mean, not for nothing. Even though you're living middle class, it's still not easy. I mean, not for nothing. I have friends that lived it all right, but again, there was other stuff going on that they kind of looked at us. Oh, I wish I lived your life. Like, yeah, you crazy?
Yeah, I just like to be. Yeah, I just like to be, like transparent with people. I don't have a sob story. A lot of people have sob stories. Mine is like a pretty healthy like upbringing. Although I did dedicate 4 years of my life to teaching in the South Bronx, in under-resourced neighborhoods.
Thank you for your service.
What's that?
So thank you for your service.
You know what? It needs to be done because it's that there aren't enough resources. There's not enough funding.
Right.
There's a lot of pain and like anxiety in these neighborhoods where there just isn't enough support, and you got like highways running over these communities. It's a mess. So I take a lot of pride in the time that I devoted to working in the South Bronx and teaching, and really developed a love and appreciation for just the communities. And I think I got a lot of love back also for my students. So it was just something I'm really proud of. Although I didn't have the opportunity to perform for them, they didn't really know that aspect of my life. But I kind of wish maybe one of these days I'll do a concert, and I don't know. Some of them have popped up in my life at different points, but subsequent to having taught. But yeah, going back to the like why I started on music professionally in 2001. I won Battle of the Bands when I was in Israel. So in 2000, I spent a year in Israel.
What made you go to Israel?
Yeah, kind of random, right?
Sorry,
I got some credits.
New York to Israel, upstate. Let me go to Israel. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I went to New York, but I got credits to earn towards my college degree. Anyway, we won Battle of the Bands, and that was the night. That was an insane night where there was what they call a pigua, where basically there was a terrorist attack, and there were just terrorist attacks every few days there. It was hell. It was living hell. At least you saw it on the news if you weren't in the midst of it. But it was like all over, like in Jerusalem. Anyway, the that night there was a very serious terrorist attack, and that had a real impact on me. And just in terms of just connecting with the world and sending a message out to the world that it's really about love and peace, and just these divisions that are being fabricated and created is just it's something that needs to be fixed. So I made it my mission to build on this message of love and appreciation and bringing communities together through the lens of music. And I felt like that's sort of my calling. And naturally, because I was able to earn a living doing that, I made that my preoccupation while I was working my way through school, through college, and it turned into a full-time career pretty much after like 10 years or so. It was part-time, and then it became full-time.
See, you heard that, folks? 10 years. Remember, it takes time. It ain't an overnight thing. Again, because you hit in 10 years, and that 10th year, people, all of a sudden say, "Who's this Asher guy? Oh my God, he just popped on the scene." Do you know how long Asher been around?
Actually, it took a little more than 10 years if you factor in, like, I was in orchestras pretty much my entire life. But
wow.
Violin's a little different. The expectation is classical training, but guitar, drums. I know a lot of people have made it pretty big, pretty fast, playing other instruments. Because I don't know, there's something. It's a pretty grueling experience, to be honest. Playing etudes and like arpeggios and that type of stuff. So different animal.
Gotcha. All right. So we'll move on over here. So let me ask you this: as a versatile artist, then, as you said, so how do you balance roles as a composer, a producer, and a live performer, and how do they complement each other in your creative process?
Yeah, well, it's all kind of they're all kind of pieces of a puzzle that allow me to have this broader picture, broader view of, like, I'm going to say, like, a deeper understanding of just music in general. When you're a live performer, but you don't understand the production side, you still you have to a certain extent horse blinders on. I mean, when you're able to produce and then understand how the mixing process, mastering process works, and like the various elements, the different instruments, like the drums, keyboard, piano, the keyboard, piano, keyboard, like cello, strings, winds, that type of stuff, all come into play from the vantage point of a producer, a band leader, an instrumentalist, a musician. You're able to sort of have this 360 view and understanding of, like, okay, what works? And then when you're a live performer, you understand what works with the audience. So I think that it's not necessary. It's not necessarily like a critical prerequisite where, like, you can't be a good performer unless you're a producer, but it just kind of adds an extra dimension to like an enriching sort of performance experience. So I like to do everything. I started out as a performer. I felt like I needed more, and I moved into production. That had sort of allowed me to collaborate with different amazing artists that you'll see in my, like, list of music on Spotify, iTunes, that type of stuff. And, you know, it also kind of allowed me to not be, what's the word, like subservient, like dependent. That's what I'm trying to say. Dependent on the mixing, the sound engineer, because
I got you. Yeah, you're not at anyone's mercy when you need something done. You know, it's like, okay, I know how to do it too, so I kind of, you know, get it done.
yeah, exactly. I can tell you a number of times, like in a live concert setting, I would look at the sound guy and be like, "What did you do to my sound?" And most people would be confused and just frustrated, and they'd have to perform with an annoying sound. But I would go over to the, you know, to the soundboard. And I would say, "You need to cut this. You need to switch that EQ. Like make certain adjustments that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't spent time in the studio."
Gotcha.
So anyway.
See, but those are assets and tools, folks. You see, learn your trade, very important. So, tell me here, what techniques or styles do you incorporate into your music that you think sets you apart from other musicians in the industry currently?
Well, I bring an understanding of you know, musical classical theory to like contemporary music. So, you know, I'm playing hip hop, rock, you know, EDM, classic rock, whatever. I'm bringing in like a sophisticated edge, like background, but also I know how to like make music accessible to, you know, people that may not like have an appreciation for classical, but they'll still. It adds an extra dimension. Like, you know, you don't have to be Paganini to like play hip hop well, but and you don't have to bring in those elements, but there's a way there. But when you have like a broader kind of understanding of different genres, it does enrich the performance. So I think that I bring that to the table. I bring, you know, some of the choreography. Like, you don't have too many dancing violinists, so I bring some of that to the table.
Hey, you be rocking out. Hey, check you out.
Yeah, I spent a number of years performing with breakdancers, and maybe I'll get back into that. It was a lot of work managing it, but
where did you meet the breakdancers? Also in New York?
Well, I was actually referred to them. You know, I had you know, some people, booking agents book me for some events, and I was, you know, I had a budget for some breakdancers, so I went to some you know, some studios and asked them, okay, who are some of your best breakdancers, and I started working with them on a regular. So yeah.
So New York was fun. A lot of experiences, huh? Breakdancing amongst other things, huh?
Yeah, just trying to add like an extra dimension to the violin to make it more accessible to people, because not everybody is necessarily drawn to the violin, or at least.
I mean, you make it look cool with the image I have on screen, you know. And folks, I'll share that the PowerPoint on the post too. But I mean, what is that? What type of violin is that? And actually, it looks like a Star Wars vehicle or something.
Yeah, it's actually a gun. No, it's an electric. It's an electric LED. It sort of lights up, you know, so it like works well with like the EDM vibe. Cool. It's a bit heavy, that's why I got that strap around me, but it's got a really nice tone the way I got it set up through my board, and it's wireless, so I kind of navigate, you know, go on and off stage, that type of stuff.
Excellent. All right, so you know, let's talk about it, man, because I know you got a dope single, a collabo, Misirlou, that you're dropping. You know, talk about that. Talk about the collaboration and the inspiration behind the track.
So I produced this song, Miserlou, like a little bit more in the cinematic. Well, it started out pretty much purely cinematic and more in the like the classical realm of like music, but I was looking for an extra dimension. I was looking to collaborate with a different artist. So I reached out to Ginny Luke, who's she's a legend in her own right, out in LA. And she agreed to her label. She had to run it by her label, or her label had to run it by her, and whatever. I had to go through a lot of red tape, but they agreed to collab on the song, and you know, it's set to release August 10th. But she, just to backtrack a little, she was looking for an extra dimension, like with the drums. So she reached out to Johan Gritschacher, he's been on the Today Show. He's been like all over the place. International tours, platinum selling artist, and she has also like Dave Matthews Band. Anyway, like household names you all heard of. And yeah, he agreed. So I was really, they really liked the track, and he recorded over it. And we had like Lucas Sater and Brian Petrowski is a Grammy Award-winning mixing mastering genius. Produced this, mix and master the song, got it produced, and it's ready to go, and as of next week. So that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. Very excited about the release.
Hey, aren't we all, man? And where can we hear this release? Where's it dropping? Is it dropping any specific spots or what? What's going on with that debut?
So it's going to be on all major platforms.
Yay.
Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Amazon, Google, you name it. And just it'll be out. Hopefully it's scheduled for release the 10th. Sometimes it's a little delayed, but generally my digital distributor's on time. So excited to share that with the world.
So are there any lessons learned in this, collaborative project?
I learned the importance of flexibility for the larger picture, seeing the forest for the trees. Like if something isn't exactly the way you envision it as a producer, there's much more to gain by seeing somebody else's perspective, so that, you have multiple talents coming together with different opinions as to how the song should sound. And the song sounds quite a bit different, much more rocky than it did the way I produced it initially. It was a little more in the realm of, like, it was cinematic, but more traditional. So it's a lot more rocky, kind of upbeat type of vibe.
All right, and, so is that what you're saying? Do you feel this represent, musical evolution and growth as an artist? That you feel you learned a lot on that level?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from these amazingly talented artists, and I just considered it to be a privilege to be able to work with them. And I'm glad that I knew to be flexible and to not stick by my guns, because it's very easy to feel like, oh, this is perfection, and that's not, and their opinion is sort of like, I feel like it's not the best. But then the whole thing falls through, and it's like, okay, so you just made yourself happy and maybe your fans, but here, you become flexible and you can reach a broader audience, and you can connect with some new talent, and maybe they do have a better understanding of what the song should sound like.
Excellent.
So
excellent. All right, so you've collaborated with various artists, throughout your career. Is there any particular collaboration that stands out to you?
I mean, I've had the honor of gracing the stage with some pretty heavy hitters, like Matisyahu.
Let me get my broom. Hold on, so you can start dropping them names.
Well, I mean, I've shared. So I've had the opportunity to share the stage with him, although it's been a number of years. Griffin, who's pretty big in the EDM scene. I mean, there's a number. In terms of collaborations on Spotify, I just released a single a few months back with Porter Singer, very talented singer, pardon the pun, and Insane Beats, again, Ginny Luke, this is a bunch of artists, and Jessica Lynn, who's a big country singer and international touring artist. So it's just a bunch. There's a whole long list.
He can't pick. It's just too many to name. And I love this picture right here, because here it shows that you're getting down. Here we could tell that you're getting and pulling off your dope moves. The Asher slide right there. With the violin. Wherever.
Yeah, those. That's my kind of vibe. That's what I like doing.
No, I dig it, man. It's high energy. It's wonderful, man. Right there, you're digging. I mean, you can see over here, you're all clean cut, all happy with your violin. And you start seeing girls like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I mean, that does look dope with the lights right there.
I look like I'm ready to bite off a large piece of pizza.
Hey, as long as it's the New York slice, I don't blame you. You know what I mean?
They're the best.
Oh, bro, right there, bro. Where was this? That setting
Um,
looks pretty cool. What's going on
so
here?
that was like that was a South Asian performance. So
All right.
whenever I play for a crowd of South Asians, I put on the outfit because it's a vibe.
Hey,
Like I
man,
said,
I see the jacket, yo. Wow, look at that jacket, folks. Don't worry, I'll share the picture. Hey, there he again putting on his dope moves, looking like Mike Jackson on his tippy toes
eh,
on stage. Wepa! I mean, yo, if you had dope moves like this, why couldn't you get away from those guys in New York and that story we were about to get into from New York? You know what I mean?
you
For
know,
folks, he had an incident in New York. Let's take it back just a little bit. As part of your New York growth journey, I mean, what
yeah.
happened?
So give
I,
so to give people the background, I mean, we were both talking about our Brooklyn mugged stories, and yours is way better than mine. But
I had the Biggie Subway story, but I'll get
yeah,
that into another day.
yours is way juicier. But I guess for another time,
Wepa,
right?
fun time.
Mine was just naivety at its worst. I got off the subway and I was heading to a gig, and little
Where
Asher's
was this
not.
gig?
This is in Brooklyn,
Of course, Brooklyn.
Williamsburg area.
Oh man, around
Um,
my hood. All right.
yeah, and I was like rolling a suitcase with like like an amp and then just a bunch of stuff, and I asked the
And
guy
none of it
like
was covered.
it was in a bag. I mean, the amp wasn't
Okay.
necessarily covered, but I literally walked into this like nobody would have bothered me if I just walked straight to the gig, but it was dark. And I asked like a couple guys like, "Oh, do you know, is there a music store nearby?" So guys like, "Yeah, sure, come with me." So he took me around the corner. I'm like, "There's no way there's a music store around that corner right there." And
Yeah.
it didn't register, but then I
And you
stopped. I'm
turned the
like,
corner. Don't tell me you
I
turned the corner.
stopped and I was right in front of Chase, and I was like, there were lights on, so I stopped. I was like, yeah, I'm not going there. So so there was one guy standing in front of Chase. So I don't, maybe that protected me from getting shot. But the guy was like holding up his hand. He's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm gonna." Anyway, so I was just like, I saw the guy was gonna tackle me, so I took out my wallet. I'm like, "Okay, I'll give you $1," and he snatched the wallet and they just went running off. So
Oh
whatever, I walked
damn,
into that
bro.
one. But it was a one
Damn.
time. Considering how many times I've been out late at night over the years, a
Oh
pretty good
yeah,
record there.
you survived the New York mugging. Not many people say that. It's true, bro. Especially with your longevity in New York. So good on you. You did the right thing. Don't why fight? I mean, I was a butthead, but I'm lucky. I'm here thanks to my friend. So it is what it is. All right.
Look,
So
honestly, my
mhm.
wallet was like nothing. If you took my violin, I would have been like devastated.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. It would be crazy. So let me ask you here, because I was looking into your story a little bit, and I heard that you had faced some health challenges that had impacted your mobility. How did you manage to overcome those obstacles? And continue to pursue this passion for music? Because this is what I love here. You got this high energy. No one would think you had that's something happen. But what was popping with that?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with a chronic inflammatory disease by like a neurologist many years ago, probably like 2006 ish or so. So a while back, and then that kind of escalated to, and I was just working my way through like the pain, like back pain. I went to the doctor because there was something I just couldn't figure out what was wrong, and I was like the only guy in the orchestra when I was in high school, like not able to lift the instrument consistently for a long period of time. So
Oh wow.
anyway, that kind of advanced to adrenal insufficiency, which I'm pretty public about. I think it's like better to talk about it than not. Landed me in a wheelchair, and I was on like permanent dosage of Cortef, and I pretty much got out of that. I was really fortunate, and and I literally landed on my feet and then some, and that's when I kind of launched my career, expanded my career to like being an independent artist as opposed to just like
Boom boom.
yeah. So that's what I've been. That sort of inspired the single releases and the collaborations, just sort of like express myself independently, not just as a studio musician with bands, but also like as somebody who's got something to say.
I mean, and how is your journey as an independent musician? Because I also come from the comic book universe. We speak to independent comic book creators and their journey. Navigating it. Where's the next buck coming from? And the consistency of work. And I mean, as a musician, how's that journey as an independent creator?
It's definitely very different than kind of being owned or just by a booking agent who's you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. I have to micromanage pretty much everything. You know, it's good, and it's, you know, it means you're in control, but it also means that if you make bad decisions, you make bad decisions.
That's your fault, yeah.
You face the consequences. It's a risk I'm kind of willing to take, and I think it's more adventuresome. It's more exciting that way. I'm always it's allowed me to, like, you know, take charge of my destiny, and I think a lot of people in this country feel that way. Like they don't want to be owned. They want to be able to express themselves in the way that they feel fit, and I think it's healthier in many ways, even though it can be more stressful. So I'm glad I've done it. It's been about 6 years, 6-7 years of being more or less independent, and I pick and choose the gigs that I take, and people I work with, and Neon Dreams, Labor of Love here.
I see that. It's a beautiful cover too. And you are looking right there like Mike doing the moonwalk with some wings. It's popping, bro. Look at this.
Michael Jackson, yeah. I mean,
dig it.
Whatever he's honestly, I mean, he's inspired a lot of people. I mean,
absolutely.
The stories that emerged later on that kind of happened after I released Neon Dreams, but so Misirlou is that's the single that's going to be released this week. Very excited about that.
And look at that image. Everybody pop. I can't wait to listen to this. Woo! Yeah, listen, right over on the weekend, everybody get ready to party, baby. It's going to be some fun stuff.
Real talent right there. That's Porter Singer, yeah.
Hey, look at that subtle pose. Oh, I'm digging that look too. I mean, do you have control over the artistry too over here on this, or who does the art?
So she I think she hired like you know, an artist to produce that, to create that, and I was like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, it is good. And folks, look, all the links are there on screen, but guess what? They're also below. So that's what you gotta do, because again, you're hearing my man. He is an independent musician on the scene, doing fun stuff. I mean, entertaining us, and again, showing us, you know, that nothing should hold you back. You know, he was held down, then got inspired, and look where he at now. Crazy collabos, working hard. I mean, surviving a mugging. I mean, what? This is the Superman of music right here. The Superman violinist. Whereby, you know, for real. So, so just 2 last questions here. Can you share a memorable moment or experience from one of your live shows that left a very significant impact on you as an artist?
I've done about 2,000 live performances since 2001.
Wow.
Some private, others open to the public. There are just endless stories that I could share. I'm tempted to share like the embarrassing ones, because those are the ones people remember. I mentioned a few times that I guess just the ones that pop up in my head, probably not necessarily the most impactful, but one was where somebody stepped back on my bow on stage in front of, like, you know, 700 people, and it was a $2,000 bow, cracked it in half. So that was horrendous.
I would remember that. That's a scarring.
Yeah, it was a scar. Yeah, definitely. Probably one of the stupider things that I've done, but you know, lesson learned.
Oh my!
The other thing, I've done some like cool private performances for. I did one for the King of Morocco, so that's something that I'm never really going to forget, meeting him in person.
The King of Morocco, saying, well, homie has performed for royalty. That is amazing.
Yeah, it was on Wall Street of all places.
On Wall Street.
Yeah. It was not in Morocco.
Was he riding the bull as he was performing? Or was it...
How did you know? He had his entourage around him. You know, he's a pretty wealthy guy. He's an investor in a lot of different companies. You know, so Wall Street's the place to be. I'd like to go to the Palace one of these days. I don't have an invitation yet, but that's something memorable. I would say performing with like, Madison Square Garden, Carnegie Hall, that those are all really iconic
Oh, that's
performances that
cool.
I
That's
will never
cool.
forget. As an artist, I'm grateful for them, even if it never happens again. If it does, sure, that'd be great. But those are definitely performing on PBS. That was definitely
Look at this
pretty
guy.
epic.
Hey, you
Yeah,
see, everything's coming. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you've been blessed. Wonderful stuff. I applaud
yeah,
you as a fan of music, to a creator. Thank you, for even sharing in your creativity and vision with us. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Wait, well, we gotta know something else here. My last question is: so if we've been talking about music and you talking about performances. Where can we check you out? Are you gonna do any performances? Anytime soon that we could go and check out. Besides, salivating for the drop of this next single.
Well, that's something that I want to encourage you guys to check out, because it was an absolute labor of love. Took months in production. Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the events that I'm playing, like this week, for instance, like today, I'm going to the surf club. It's a private event. Um, but you guys could, if you want to hear more of my music, hear it weekly on Facebook, and any announcements you'll see. I generally announce on social media, Instagram, doing a little more TikTok.
Hey, do
And
them
Facebook.
TikToks. We got. Yeah, if you got the dope moves as you do, Asher, you belong on TikToks. There you go. Get it done, man. Show us those breakdancing moves along with the boat, but just don't break it this time.
Yeah, I'll try not to poke anybody in the eye. That's one of the biggest challenges, especially when you
Excellent.
got breakdancers around you. It's like you got them really close. Actually I remember a number of times where we're moving simultaneously to the right and to the left, and we're doing flips and stuff like that. So my biggest concern is like accidentally harming with my bow, like the breakdancers to the left, because that's where it's directed, and like poking them in the eye, or like,
Like, please
you
stay
know,
away from Asher.
yeah, they don't seem to be worried about that stuff. But I'm like, you got to like step like a foot or two to the side because I don't want to hurt you.
Like, listen,
So
the last thing I want on the end of my bow is somebody's eyeball. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Well, there we
no
go.
insurance on
Asher,
that.
you are amazing. Thank you, folks. As I said, I've been sharing the links, and check them out. Very easy. TikTok and Instagram at Asher Laub. Meta Asher Laub Music. YouTube Asher Official Music. And of course, you can visit the website, asherlaub.com. All the links are below there. Much more than that as well. Show the love again for independent music. Thank you so much again, Asher, for tuning in. And you guys, thank you for listening, for watching. Please subscribe, turn on those notifications, and share with your friends. Let them know that you enjoy the Omega podcast when we talk to amazing people like Asher. Right? And with that, hasta la próxima, mi gente. Much love and stay motivated. Bye.